Welcome to the local campaign here on Rogers TV. Thank you so much for joining us. As we get closer and closer to Election Day on October 24th, we turn our attention to municipal debates. And today's debate is Ward 8, College Ward. Now, before I introduce you to our candidates, I'll go over the format of the debate. We're going to start with an opening statement from each candidate. Each candidate will have 60 seconds for their opening statement, and the order of that was chosen at random just a few moments ago. So following the opening statement, I'm going to open with a question, a topic and question that, of course, means something to not only the constituents, but residents right across the city of Ottawa. So I'll ask that question to a candidate. They will have 45 seconds to open up the discussion. Once that 45 seconds is complete, then we go into a full debate and we open the floor to each candidate to jump in. At the end of that, I will go back to the candidate with which I originally asked the question. They will have 30 seconds to wrap up. We will go through that format with a few different topics and questions, and at the end of all of that, the end of our debate, we will have our closing statements, and each candidate will have 60 seconds for that, and we will do that in reverse order. All right, it's now time to meet our candidates for Ward 8 College Ward. We start with Laine Johnson.
Hello.
Welcome. Wendy Davidson.
Hi.
Pat McGarry.
Hi, Derick.
Vilteau Delvas.
Hi.
And Granda Kopytko.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you all for joining us. Really appreciate it. And of course, thank you at home for joining us. We begin with our opening statement, 60 seconds, and we start with you, Laine Johnson.
My name is Laine Johnson, and I am here today as a mother, a civic educator, an executive, and a neighbor. I've been knocking doors since January to hear your priorities. I was called into 7 neighborhoods during May's big storm because people already knew that they could count on me to show up for them. You deserve hardworking representation. We deserve investments in our infrastructure, repair and renewal, road safety, and our parks and recreation spaces. I have led public institutions, supported community engagement, and taught municipal policy. I have learned to navigate the system and have strong relationships with city staff, officials, and communities. Leadership is about relationships. Sometimes it's about having tough conversations and building consensus to get things done. This is the experience I want to bring to City Hall. I'm serious about the job ahead of me, but I can't do it alone. Let's work together to make College Ward a place everyone loves.
Thank you very much, Laine. Next up is Wendy Davidson. You have 60 seconds.
Thank you, Derick, and thank you to Rogers for hosting this. My name is Wendy Davidson, and I'm running to be the next councillor for College Ward. I'm running in College Ward because it's my home. I've lived there for 15 years. I bought my first home there. I was married there, and now my husband and I are currently raising our 2 children. A quick nod out to all the kids today that started school and to the parents that dropped them off, walked them to school, or maybe put their kinders on the bus for the very first time today. I became passionate about politics when I was a student. I have an honors degree in political science. That combined with my 20 years as a commission sales rep, running a multi-million-dollar territory from local businesses right here in Ottawa, I have a proven track record as a negotiator, a unifier, and most importantly, as somebody that is a problem solver and isn't afraid to ask the hard questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Wendy. Next up, Pat McGarry, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. I've lived in or beside College Ward most of my life and was privileged to raise my family in Bel Air Heights. My ties to the ward are deep and my caring for the community is well established. Residents know my name and they know my business. During my over 30 years of service with House Playfair McGarry Funeral Home, I have served thousands of families in College Ward and devoted much of my leisure time to community service. With this election, we have an opportunity to bring balance and civility back to Ottawa City Council. I believe I am uniquely positioned to provide College Ward with experienced, collaborative, and proven leadership in bridging gaps and bringing people together to create a better way forward. If elected, I will focus my attention and problem-solving skills on the issues which matter most to the residents of College Ward, and I will ensure you have a strong voice at City Hall. I am asking for your vote. I will work hard for you every day. I'm Pat McGarry. I'm here to help.
Thank you very much, Pat. Next up is Vilteau Delvas. You have 60 seconds, Vilteau.
Bonsoir. Bonsoir, College Ward. I thank God for giving me this opportunity to be here today. I thank my wife and my little princess for supporting me in this journey. Thank you, Derick and TV Rogers, for this debate, hosting this debate. My name is Delvas Vilteau. I am a former police officer, and I graduate with a bachelor degree in public administration from the University of Ottawa. I have also been a federal government employee at Transport Canada. In the Human Resources Department, I also had the opportunity to work to provide cultural approach for a seminar for the RCMP for those traveling to Haiti. I've worked for the City of Ottawa as a personal support worker, which gave me the opportunity to work closely with the seniors. I know I am now an entrepreneur and running my own business, Bamboo Motors Limited, where I provide auto care. Most recently, in the June 2022 provincial election, I was seeking office under the Ontario Party as a member of Parliament. I'm running for you.
Thank you very much, Vilteau. Next up, we have Granda Kopytko. You have 60 seconds for your opening statement, Granda.
Hi, my name is Granda Kopytko, and I'm proud to say that I've lived in College Ward for over 22 years. I'm an evaluator for the federal government, and for the past 4 years, I've been a National Executive Director for the Canadian Association of Professional Employees, the government's third largest union. Being a board member has given me ample experience in consensus building. In 2017, I represented J.H. Putman School, located in College Ward, during the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board Area Review. The school board representatives had decided to close the school and to move the students into portables in a nearby elementary school. Instead, I negotiated them into building a $1.5 million addition to Agincourt School to house these students. I'm running because I believe that it is at the municipal level that people have the greatest impact on their community. I am the best choice as councillor for College Ward because I know my ward as a parent, as well as someone who both lives and works there. My vision for College Ward is to protect its green spaces, ensure transportation is effective and efficient, and maintain basic core services.
Thank you very much, Granda. All right, we now begin the debate portion. I'm going to start with Laine. And Laine, you'll have 45 seconds to open up this discussion. You touched on it in your opening statement, and that is roads and infrastructure. And I'm going to make this a bit of a two-parter because a lot of people in the ward complaining about the fact that the worst roads aren't getting the attention they deserve, aren't being prioritized, and speeding, aggressive driving is another issue in your ward. What solutions do you bring to both of those?
Well, the primary reason I actually got involved is because I have 2 young children and I've been concerned about the lack of safe infrastructure for walking and cycling. We are in a transition in College Ward between cars and active modes of transportation, and we need to pay attention to that transition as a matter of safety. Right now, we actually only trigger 10 traffic calming studies for the whole city a year. I promise to modernize and expedite that traffic calming process so that it works for people. We have an enormous city, and so to only have 10 studies a year means that people are getting hurt in the meantime. We also have a lot of seniors that walk daily, and we want to make sure that we're spending our traffic calming budget in full, which has not been happening in College Ward.
Okay, thank you, Laine, and I open it up to discussion. The floor is open to all candidates.
Thank you, Derick. I heard a very sad story in Bell's Corners just the other day. Numerous people have, in fact, been killed trying to cross the street. So definitely traffic calming measures need to be implemented. I actually have ideas on that are a little bit different than what's been implemented so far. I think we've had a lot of signs, we have a lot of things that maybe are distracting more than helping. And I've heard from a lot of residents that this is an issue though. So one of the things I'm committed to, and I'm going to make a number of pledges, and I'm going to be sharing ideas today, but one of the pledges that I'm going to make is if I'm elected to councillor, I'm going to actually not take the car allowance of approximately $7,000. I'm going to use those monies to put back into areas around schools and infrastructure as well to make our community more safe, because it needs to be safe for not only our kids, but also our grandparents and everybody in between, for bikers and cars and walkers.
That is a very nice pledge, but we actually have more of a systemic issue when it comes to traffic safety. Right now, our temporary traffic calming department doesn't actually sit in the same space as our permanent traffic calming department. And so I think it is a matter of priorities and suggesting that the city can come in front of this transition more effectively. We also have really poor connectivity, so getting from north-south over the Queensway, for example, over Maitland, over Woodruff, and certainly Bell's Corners that you mentioned with Moody, we need to pay attention to how we move through our city so that we can reach the LRT when it gets there. And that will require protected bike lanes and better pedestrian services.
I think right now one of the concerns in our particular to our ward is the development that's coming up. The corner in Clyde, where the Walmart is, there's a large development and they've had intersection problems there for a long time. It is a known problem that community has brought up several times, but there's really not been any work done on it. And I think that is one of the priorities of our community, because there's going to be a lot of development in that corner and there's already been a lot of accidents at that intersection. Thank you.
So I do think the road safety, it's not only the signage that we need to put out there, but the police needs to do his work as well. We need to have the police to be there to do more proactive work than just doing reacting work. So I believe if the people, they know that there is police officers in the area, in certain area, they will be careful and also put in a proper this speed limit in certain area to make sure that people follow them.
I feel that the police are absolutely better used in other places. Traffic calming is essential. It's essential in our ward. It's essential all over the city. And if you watch debates from elections gone past, it has been an ongoing issue, not just in College Ward, but in the city as a whole. Right now, in College Ward, we have 2 traffic cameras that for giving tickets. We need more. But right now, the law only allows them to be in school zones. We need them everywhere. Go to Edmonton. They're everywhere. People don't speed when they get a ticket. They at least slow down, are cognizant, and are aware. 2 is not enough for College Ward. We need them in the neighborhoods. We need them on Centerpoint Drive. We need them on the corner of Baseline. We need them. We need them everywhere.
So
and
what
the
about
laws need to change around that.
What about people privacy as well? Like having camera all over the city is just, you become like,
They are all over the city.
No,
they
I know,
just don't
but
give people tickets that calm the traffic and keep people safe.
I think that should be the work of get the police involved as well. It's very important. Like even having a cruiser around certain key areas, that would help a lot. Just having camera all over the places.
The police are without a doubt one of the most expensive interventions that we can put forward right now. And given the affordability crisis that we're all facing, and we don't want to increase any pressure on our tax base, I would agree with Wendy that cameras certainly pay for themselves. And so it would be something to look at if the laws permitted it.
The other things that matter are the speed monitors. That would really help as well. And I think we've seen a lot of things that have been tried, and we're not the experts here. We have experts at the city. But we want to make sure, our job is to make sure that our dollars that are being spent on these things are actually working properly. And I was in Centerpoint just yesterday, and I saw what I would call a very ugly traffic calming measure with medians in the middle. And I stood there for about 5 minutes, and not a single person hit their brakes. So it was turning into just a diversion that didn't work. And what we need to do is we need to use our money effectively. And I'm committed to working with, I know we have Safer Roads Ottawa, I know they've done some improvements, but we really got to be asking the right questions as to what is not working and how can we do this better.
Granda, you wanted to jump in? Go ahead.
Yeah, I've attended a couple of traffic calming strength presentations, particularly one for Qualicum neighborhood, in which they presented the bulbs, the stop signs, the speed changes, how you can get more police involved if you call to complain. And basically their most economical version was the flex stakes and the painting on the roads. They're small, they're simple, but they actually have an effect. They found that they put the speeding card up to attract speeders, but they just were a little bit too low to bring in.
Those are helpful, but not in the winter.
Weren't.
When they come down, it's not helpful in the winter. And
that's I was going to say, is that you're right. Thank you, that they were suggested, but they were only in the summer.
And to your point of the 10 traffic calming studies, the cameras that capture the speed, they are also capturing data. And with that data, that's when they decide when and where, once a certain percentage of the speeding is exceeding what it should be in that area. So those, yes, they show you that you're speeding or not speeding, but we all have speedometers. It's the data that those collect that really, really helps with determining where traffic calming needs to be placed in the city.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's our time there, but Laine, come back to you. You have 30 seconds to wrap up on the topic.
It's true that cameras will be an essential tool for collecting that data, but unless the City of Ottawa decides that traffic calming is a priority, they will still only fund 10 studies a year. So we will have competing data. I think of some of the growth that is coming around Iris Street with the secondary plan. We have Cobden, we have crossings for schools to St. Gregory's or across Greenbank. And so we do need to set a priority at the City of Ottawa to put people first.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks to all of our candidates. A great start so far. Let's move on to the next topic. And Wendy, we start with you. You'll have 45 seconds. Let's talk affordable housing, because the City of Ottawa has called it a crisis, a housing emergency. What solutions do you bring to the table when it comes to affordable housing, and in particular, affordable rental housing? Go ahead, Wendy.
Thank you. As it's stated in our budget, the hallmark of any prosperous, vibrant city is the ability to provide every resident the same opportunities to achieve self-sustainability. And I think that the self-sustainability part of that statement is key. Ottawa has a very generous policy when it comes to supporting aging in place, and they have a lot of tax deferral programs, but there needs to be more. And the city needs to step up, and the city needs to contribute. There are places in the city where it's city-owned property, where they could sell it to a not-for-profit developer and give the opportunity to build some realistic, affordable housing.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. It's open to all candidates.
So the reality is that there is a housing crisis and affordability issue because there's a lack of supply. So we need to promote sensible development and increase the supply of the units that are available. That will help us with not only affordability, but a range of options. I'm a proponent of a balanced spectrum. What that means is mixed-use developments, integrated and walkable communities, affordable housing for all, solutions that ideally reduce traffic as well, thoughtful, private, and public sector contributions. We must work harder to balance developer wants with College Ward residents' needs. I have some ideas as well, but I'll let others talk for a bit.
Go ahead, Vilteau.
Yeah, for the affordable housing, I don't know if anybody asked themselves questions. Downtown Ottawa right now, there's plenty of empty building. What are they used for? We should take those buildings and put them and give them to people to live, and that's what I believe in. And also, when it comes to the cost of life is increasing every day, and when you say the cost of life, your salary remains the same, taxes is increasing every single day. So we need to allow the homeowners and instead of key area and key zoning to be able to transform the houses into multiple unit, multiple living families if they can do so. So I believe, as I was running for the city provincial election, I've seen many people in many areas. Those areas are getting old. They are due for new construction, but the city doesn't want to approve them. So we need to do something about that, and also to make sure that we're taking care of green areas into consideration as well.
Thank you, Vilteau. Laine, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that I in fact grew up in a co-op, and I now work as an executive in a nonprofit housing corporation. So this topic is very personally and professionally important to me. I want to thank Wendy for the shout out for the suggestion of land use. So I actually founded the Ottawa Community Land Trust, which is a not-for-profit corporation that is supposed to hold land in perpetuity for the purposes of affordable housing. And if the City of Ottawa wanted to use that as a financial tool, it's actually a way for them to contribute an asset that then a nonprofit can use to further borrow to both repair and build new housing. And then the City of Ottawa doesn't have to put cash up, because that's also a concern right now with our debt. There's over 14,000 people waiting on our social waiting list registry, and that is abhorrent. We need to make sure that College Ward gets the value for our neighborhoods while welcoming new families. We want seniors to have some place to downsize. You mentioned downtown buildings. Well, Bell's Corners also has a lot of open space and underused government buildings, and they would love to have some place for their seniors and mature adults to downsize.
Okay, thanks. Granda, did you want to get in here?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that my mother-in-law just moved into Harmer House at Bell's Corners, and so it's a place for people who are senior to live together, and there's activities as well. It's a really nice area because nearby is the green space and some shops to get to. But it's sort of difficult for her because there's only a single bus going up and down. So this is one of the limitations of these places, is to look at how transportation works within them. But anyway, about Bell's Corners in particular, the still water station is being created, which is going to be a very large development. And in mind, it has an idea of that's a place where seniors can move into while still staying in their communities because they no longer are able to keep up with their larger homes. Thank you.
So I'm very open to all kinds of different ideas of how we're going to address this in the long term. So not-for-profit housing, that's absolutely something. But we have to work with the developers as well, and we can't be anti-developers. What I wanted to share was an idea that is immediate and a very easy idea to implement. Why aren't we training residents, coaching residents on how to build micro-suites in their existing homes? Homes that have extra space that aren't being utilized right now.
Because it's too expensive right now, Pat.
Well,
There's way too
I can
much
tell
red
you.
tape.
Well, perhaps at the city.
We need to
and
maybe
this
work
is,
at that, but it's very expensive for anybody
from
to
the
put a
cost-
coach house or something like
A
that.
coach house, I understand. I've heard lots of stories about that. But a micro suite is actually within an unused part of your home, and that's anywhere
still
from.
lots of
It can be
red
done
tape.
for as low as $15,000
I really
to
think
$40,000.
I really prefer,
Why-
Pat, what
Yep.
you're saying is I kind of understand.
Yep.
But at the same time, like, it's depending how many people that you have in your family. It's gonna be overcrowded. If you get a chance to build new, destroy a house that you have right now and make it a two unit apartment, change it, and that you can, that will help a lot of people to get new places to stay.
So what I was talking about is a really quick solution to get more units that will help our students that are right now overpaying for rooming house type of spaces. It will also help our seniors to gather some income while renting this out.
I
At a
think you bring up a really
$40,000
good point,
piece, you
Pat.
can get it.
But
Thank you.
unfortunately, our
$1,000 a
neighborhoods-
month, and versus what maybe they're going to be getting at their bank account.
Our neighborhoods have actually already been under a great deal of pressure with secondary dwelling units, and neighbors have been telling me that we are having trouble with on-street parking and cars. So what I did was I brought this idea forward to Algonquin College, because as they choose to grow, we should be working together to plan out how these surrounding neighborhoods see this intensification. And I suggested what was called a Towns and Gowns Committee. And it's a model being used across Ontario, where you bring into the college, the city councillor, bylaw, student associations, and community associations. So
Okay,
we can understand how we create the pressure in our neighborhoods.
Yeah, but the question I would like to ask, do we really ask the citizen what they want? Do we really ask them what they really want, how they can improve the cost of living, how they can improve the industry? We don't ask.
Okay,
the people have answers.
sorry, that's time. Thank you, candidates. Wendy, back to you for 30 seconds to wrap up on this topic.
Thank you. I think that it's very important that the city work with what they already have. Work with a not-for-profit, such as Canada's Land Company, which we have seen throughout the city in other neighborhoods, in other wards. There are some great spots, to your point. There's some right along the Transit's Way by Midhurst, by Algonquin College, that could service the students, that could service the aging population in Centre Point that want to stay in their neighborhoods, but maybe not in their big homes. We need to work together, and we need to remove the red tape.
Thank you, Wendy. Excellent. Let's move on to the next topic. I will start with you, Pat. You'll have 45 seconds to open up. You've all touched, I believe, on transit, so let's talk some more transit here. And I'm not just talking about the LRT, public transit in general. It needs to be reliable, it needs to be affordable, and it needs to be accessible. And from what I'm hearing from many in your ward, you're not getting all three of those things. What are some of the solutions you can bring to the table to help out residents? Pat?
Yeah, thank you, Derek. You know, I've been walking a lot of streets and knocking on a lot of doors, but to be honest, I'm finding a lot of people standing at bus stops. And they're standing there because it's not reliable right now. One of the things I'd like to remind people of, and I think it's very important, is to know that 30 years ago, Ottawa was winning world-class awards for our transportation system. What that tells me is that we can actually do this. So we just have to get the right people involved, the experts, and we need to be making sure that we're getting best use of our tax dollars for our transportation system. There's talk from a group called Horizon Ottawa, and I know we have one of the candidates here that's been endorsed. They're talking about free transit. I'm not about free transit. Nothing is free. I think we'd be much better off served making the transit system reliable, not free.
Thank you, Pat. It's open to all candidates.
What I can say about Patrick, you said it right, but what you need to understand, the needs. There is a problem right now. There's a problem, and we need to address it properly. So what it means, we have the LRT which is not working properly. 1, 2, 3 is not working, and it's been delayed. And we have buses that is being cut off in Santa Maria. People are staying online for 1 to 2 hours before they can get to work. We need to do something about it. We need to separate. We need a counselor that who's willing, who's not taking money from big investors and stuff like that to go and become their slave when it comes to take a decision. People who's being sponsored by themselves, and when they get there, they know that they represent the people and discuss the real issues. Right now, we need buses to be on the road. We need our buses to be on the road, the bus driver to be on the road to provide service to the people because people needs them. And when we are ready to get to use those RT, so when the time comes, we will use them. But right now, we need the buses to be on the road so people can evacuate their
Thank you, Vilteau. Go ahead, Granda.
We need our transportation to be effective and efficient. And in particular, I'd like to talk about my mother-in-law because her experience as a senior citizen who relies on it, their only method of transportation, it's been quite a shock for her to go to Bell's Corners. It's a lovely place, but it's been very frustrating for her to get places because there's limited bus transportation within, especially from the place where she is, which isn't on the main street. So she has to walk to a main road or wait until the smaller bus comes into the neighborhood where her home is located. And she has other frustrations she's told me about, such as the fact that she can't get a paper schedule, or she phones OC Transpo to ask them how to get someplace and spends 45 minutes on hold. So these are the kind of experiences that people are having. So it's not surprising that those buses are sitting empty. We're limiting people's ability to get on them with these kind of activities. We should think about the system and not just the bus.
A very exciting part of the system that uses buses is the Baseline Rapid Transit Corridor. So the Baseline Rapid Transit Corridor is a fully planned out active transportation route that goes across 13 communities.
I think it's starting in 30 years. It's a long time from now.
It's
right?
a very long time from now, but
so
it's already in the plans for an east-west route, and it uses buses, which is a proven technology, which we've described, but it also creates investments for protected cycle lanes and pedestrians. So it is a great investment, especially for our local businesses who want to create more walk-in traffic, more foot traffic, create more vibrancy within our neighborhoods, and move towards a 15-minute neighborhood.
So I'm
and
glad,
so I would fight
yes.
very hard for the funding. I've already been in touch with both federal and provincial reps to let them know that I will be advocating very hard for funding so we don't let the developers go first.
Wendy, go ahead, and then Pat.
Definitely, it's something that we have to work with all levels of government from. It's going to be a very expensive project, and it is currently not funded, only in its infancy stage. We need to fix the problem today. I 100% agree that there is a need for the BRT, but today we need to fix the problem, and I think we need to go to the top and work our way down. It needs to start at why it's such a huge part of the budget controlled by a transit committee that is not elected. It's not elected officials. I really believe that we need to re-look at it from the inside out. And when I say out, I mean let's talk to the bus drivers. Let's talk to the people that deal with the customers day in and day out. See the routes, know what's working, know what's not working. We need to empower our transit committee more from not the commission, but the committee. The commission is not elected.
I have talked to the bus drivers because I have a friend who's a bus driver, and she complained about the potholes. That is a problem for her as the driver and for the people that sit in her bus.
And one other thing is there is no transparency at the city hall right now. There's no transparency. Before you can take a decision to cut off buses and stuff like that, we should contact the citizen to know the condition, what is their input into this. We just like people choose, you just vote somebody and they sit in there. Now they take decision for the big guys, and when they need the vote again, they come back and say, I need your vote, I'm gonna fight for you.
But they're not elected.
But at the end of
but
the
they're
day,
not elected.
At the end of the day, but the decision come from where?
They get appointed. They get appointed.
Yeah, by who? By who? By an elector? By somebody who's...
But the people that get to control the budget
Yeah, but-
for transportation, we can vote on the
Well,
budget.
I'm not against that for people, the fact that they're not elected or not. I'm too public. I'm too PPP, partnership with public sector and private sector. I have no problem with this. But what I'm trying to say is we need proper government. We need people who has backbone when it comes to take a decision to fight for what is right and fight for the people. That's what this is who I am. This is what I'm here to do. Fighting for you, and believe I can do so as a city's councilor.
So thank you. Can I get in now? I want to follow up on some of the things that have been said, and Wendy, you hit it right on the nail on the head, as did Granda. What I'm pledging right now is I'm a person that can get things done. I've done it through my whole career. I've done it through board work, and I am pledging that I will work to make sure that the BRT on down Baseline Road happens. That's a big topic of concern for residents.
You'll have a chance to wrap up here, so if anyone else just, over the last 20 seconds wants to jump in.
I think the BRT is something that is great. There needs to be more investigation, and we will continue to invest in it. I think that it's a very, very positive thing down the road. And when I say down the road, I mean let's get on the road and fix them now.
Consult the citizen. Consult the citizen.
All right.
Be transparent.
Okay, we'll end it there. Pat, you have 30 seconds here to wrap up.
Thank you. So I am running in this election because I care deeply about the College Ward, a ward that has done so much for me my whole life, and I love this city. And I am very concerned, this is a pivotal time for our city. I'm concerned about an organization called Horizon Ottawa. We happen to have a candidate that's been vetted, endorsed, and supported here with us today, Laine. And I had made a previous commitment to take my money from car allowance to give to transit allowance. As a Horizon Ottawa, who you believe free transit, will you do the same?
I don't support free transit, but thank you for bringing it in.
Excellent. Thank you. That ends that topic. We move on to the next one. This is Vilteau. We'll be opening up this discussion. You'll have 45 seconds to open up. Okay, we've been talking about a lot of things that cost a lot of money. Okay, let's talk taxes. There's a growing concern about the city's debt here in Ottawa. Taking that into account, where would you set tax increases over the next 4 years? Vilteau?
Honestly, our overall social support system is not up to par. As the capital city of Canada, we are not setting ourselves as an example for adequate seniors care. What we currently have in the city is far from adequate. So we have elderly patient in wait list and so on and so on. So myself, people have been paying taxes almost all their life. When you get a paycheck, almost half of it is gone for taxes, and you buy food, everything, groceries, tax. When is gonna be end? We need to put up a break into it. That's what I can say.
Okay, I open up the floor to everybody.
So right now we spend $250 million just on the interest payments each year on our $3.5 billion debt. This burden eats into the services and improvements that the city can deliver. Working towards paying down the debt will pay dividends across the spectrum of the services the city provides, and we need to get this under control.
And how are we going to pay down this debt?
Well, there's always got to be efficiencies we got to look for. I'm also, what I hear is we have to find a way, Wendy, because we are in a crisis where people are very worried about their cost of living. They're worried about how they're going to get food on their table for their kids. They're worried about, all these things that I know I was privileged to receive here in Ottawa. The ability to go to a park and play sports,
so
all those things. So
that's true, and our debt has tripled in the past 10 years. And so we need to have viable solutions brought to council now, today, that we can do. There's lots of ways.
To do what? Vote taxes and increase the taxes?
To figure out how we can pay off our debt and how we can be more efficient with our budget.
How can we figure it out? I would like to hear
Well,
you.
we can work with different levels of government. Since 1987, which is 35 years ago, institutions such as penitentiaries, schools, hospitals, they work on a beds and heads program, $75 a head. We should petition the provincial government as a city, as other cities in Ontario have done, and increase that amount.
But Brenda, I listen to what you're saying, which is okay.
Sorry, it's Wendy.
Wendy, sorry.
Okay.
That's good. Wendy. Oh,
no problem.
That's good. I come to my mind. All right, sorry. Say, where does our money went? We just spend like
47.5% of it comes from property taxes. I know.
No, I know. We just spent like almost 2 years COVID. Everybody was at home. Not the road were okay. Not many cars on them, and now tax increasing. We want to have tax increase. Where are those money?
Okay, so let me offer a couple different ideas of how we can relieve the tax burden on the individual while still getting what we want for College Ward. I personally understand issues of affordability because I was working on, my family's had a single income while I've been taking care of my small son for 18 months. And I work in nonprofit. So believe me, when I say I have experience creating efficiencies without raising prices, nor can I pass on my cost to the consumer, I cannot do these things. So we have to work with what we have. I think the first place we need to look is our capital budget fair share. Year over year, other wards have been given capital budget dollars. They're the same age as us. We haven't seen our return. So I will be fighting for our capital budget investments. We also need to think about development charges. We need to grow. We haven't been growing at the same rate. Barrhaven, Stittsville, Canada, they're seeing investments that we haven't been seeing. So we need to be thoughtful about levering development charges. And the third thing is the City of Ottawa hasn't undergone a line-by-line program review in over a decade, which means we're funding programs that we started 10 years ago in basically the same way. That's now not how I create my budget. I work with priorities, and I would expect as city councillor for anyone who's bringing fiscal sophistication to the conversation should be looking at our spending.
You said, well, I don't understand, investment charge, like you're gonna charge the people, the construction company?
They already pay fees and charges when we allow them to develop in our areas, and we direct those dollars to the local.
I'd like to get Granda into this conversation.
Sure.
Granda, please.
Yeah, so development is something that's definitely going to be happening in College Ward because we have 2 LRT stations. And I understand the lure of the development charges and how that could solve that solution, but it also makes another problem. It makes a lot of problems. Putting in developments, they're going to come, they're going to happen, but I wouldn't count on them as something that's a way to solve problems because they cause other problems. They cause problems for communities in other social ways. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's so important that we are, working with the developers because, we will have the ability to have control over them if we work with them. If we are just taxing them and making them frustrated, that's not going to work. We need to work with them. And I could tell you as a business owner, I understand costs. I understand responsibilities. I have people that rely on our business for their livelihood.
So for example,
and this is very important. So the way to do this, just a moment, is, it's not always go and ask for more money. It's let's earn more money. Let's help the small businesses earn more money, and that money will recirculate in the community. That's why I'm talking to a lot of small businesses who say they need our help and they feel like they've been left behind. I commit that I will help the small businesses thrive in our.
Do you guys understand when the developer pay the taxes before they can even start building anything? When you buy a home and they make you pay, why do they make you pay tax again?
The development charges are rolled out over the life cycle of
No,
their
just a
development.
question I'm asking. Like you developer, they pay the taxes and everything and big chunk of money. And me as a consumer, I went and buy the house, and I end up paying tax on top of it.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with that. Our property taxes come from an assessment on your property plus the mill rate. That's already preset.
So now, that means.
Pat gets a provincial.
So just let Wendy finish because you'll have a chance to wrap up. Go ahead.
Okay, all right.
That's established from a provincial level and not just a municipal level. We need to work with all levels of government.
I agree.
We need to do it. We need to take some of the things that we are currently paying for as a municipality that perhaps the province should be taking some responsibility for. Maybe some of the roads that we take on considerable amount of for like the 174. Well, where's the provincial monies there?
I'd just like to finish. Did you know that the mill rate for Ottawa is higher than Toronto? So there's room that we can find.
Sorry, we're out of time. Vilteau, you have 30 seconds to wrap up on this topic.
As a small business owner, I know the situation. I'm running because I believe the taxpayers deserve to know where, how, and what their money is being used for. I'm running because the cost of living keeps rising while the wage remain the same. I'm running because Ottawa, being the capital, should be an example. An example for the overall provinces, cities. I'm running because I want to represent the farmers. I'm running because I want the community to stand up for themselves.
Sorry, Vilteau, I have to stop you there. That's it for that topic. We move on to the next topic. Granda, this will be for you. You'll have 45 seconds to open up. Do you believe that the City of Ottawa can and should play a role when it comes to climate change, and what solutions would you offer? You have 45 seconds to open up the topic.
Okay, sure. Well, climate change is a pretty big topic, so to narrow it down to what a single city can do, what a single councillor can do, and what the individuals in a single ward can do, I think it'd be very specific with our small actions having small effects, but they're positive effects. In particular, I'd like to talk about the waste plan that we have coming to increase our amount of recycling. I actually wrote an article for the Ottawa Citizen a few weeks ago that you can see and has more details on my ideas for this. But the point is that our trailhead dump is going to expire soon. It's going to fill up. So our small actions that we can do right now to increase our reduce our use, increase our recycling will end up making us have more time to find a solution to a bigger problem, which is waste.
All right, I open it up to all candidates.
You only have to go to Bell's Corners and talk to some folks there about how climate change is affecting us. They've been left alone, they feel, for a long time with through storms and adverse weather events. And so climate change is real, and we need to be looking at that. There's for not only the environment, but for our own safety as well. And I believe that we need to be enforcing responsible development to any future projects. That we need to make sure that we are holding any developer, multi-residential development has to be environmentally responsible as well. We can do that. There's other leading cities in the world that are doing this. I'm not quite sure why Ottawa is not part of the C40 group, but we can do things, we can do development that's economically feasible, socially responsible, and environmentally conscious.
Mm-hmm. And our biggest levers as a city are our transportation systems and our land use planning. So certainly small actions are going to play a part. We actually all pay a little bit on our property tax bill for waste management right now, if you didn't know that. And so there's an opportunity there to imagine how we all already invest in the decisions we make with our garbage. But we do have a lot of extreme weather events here. And during May, I was actually called into several different neighborhoods, even though I also had lost power for 6 days, because the people in the communities wanted someone to bear witness to the type of solutions that they were offering for their neighbors during this crisis. And I was being called in because they knew that I was already showing up to work. And I would like to continue showing up to work for you every day. I think we have a great stormwater management issue going on in College Ward. We have flooding, we're welcoming infill. Luckily, recently, in the most recent version of the infrastructure master plan, we're starting to address infill and its pressures on our existing system, so we would want to watch for that. But we should also be thinking about our tree canopy bylaw. We've strengthened our tree protection bylaw, but we can go further. And there are, as Pat says, ways that developers can work around these bylaws. We need enforcement.
Thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead,
So,
Vilteau, and then we'll
I just don't want to say things that people just want to hear because I want you to elect me. Let's go to the bottom of it. When you say about climate change, I don't think climate change is the cause that we have the storm, we have anything. Those have been there since the planet was created. And also, when you say about climate change, we need to stop on flying, because if you're going to want to go from here to Toronto or to United States or to any other countries, we're taking plane anyways. So I'm not against climate change. What I am for, I'm for planting more trees and allow people to. I'm for green areas. I'm for investing in our farmers so they can get the resources that they need.
Well, our ward is in the Greenbelt, and a ton of our ward
they can get the
is
service
encompassed by
of
the
our
Greenbelt.
farmers, so they can get enough support to encourage home growing. That's what I am there for. And anyways. Climate change is a big subject, and it's not really an hour level. We can do the beginning, the minimum of
Wendy, go ahead.
Well, I think it's important to understand that College Ward is encompassed by a lot of, we're right in the Greenbelt. And you know, it is an NCC property, but it comes up for a review every 10 years. Next year, the NCC will put it for review. And as it does every 10 years, there are parts of the Greenbelt that they consider selling off, and specifically around Queensway Carleton Hospital. We can't let that happen.
Yes.
I will be sure I am at that meeting, and I will fight to keep that green space and keep as much green space as we can in College Ward. You want to cut down a tree in our ward? Then you plant a tree. Responsible development has to play a part in it, absolutely. But waste management is not just a small thing, it's a big thing. Yeah. There are restaurants in this city that recycle. They don't recycle. No. There are buildings, many buildings that don't compost. New buildings maybe, but old buildings, they don't recycle, they don't compost.
For
You
me,
know, you
so
recycle
cut-
your
you-
one can, you
you
feel
cut
great.
one
That's-
tree. For me, you cut one tree, you plant 5. You cut one, you plant 5.
So you
That's
know,
what I'm here for.
You know, folks, we do have a responsibility if we get this position, if we're fortunate enough. We need to be thinking of future generations, and I know that's what we're all talking about.
Yes.
One of the
No one
things
would
I wanted,
disagree with that.
nobody disagrees
Yes,
with that.
yeah.
And my point is, we can debate this all here. We need to get the right people around the table.
Yes.
And what I can tell you is, there's other communities have done it. There's one right across the river in Gatineau. There's something called the Edgar Cafe. They have built that 15-minute neighborhood. And what does that do? That means you don't have to use your car as much. That means there's small business right there in that community. It builds that community. There's live-work conditions that we can do. More people are working from home. Let's help them do that. Our job is to get people together, I like to educate more than enforce, because I think most people want to do the right thing. They just need a little bit of help and knowledge to do that. And as a business owner whose company is almost 100 years old, I can tell you I'm very used to thinking future generations ahead as opposed to the next 4 years of an election.
I'd like to make a little shout out for something positive, because we've been talking about a lot of negatives, and the fact that there are electric buses now in Ottawa. It's a pilot program, but the fact that we have done that and we are doing that is something to acknowledge and to be proud of. And I'd like to say something that I'm proud of Ottawa for doing that right now.
Anybody want to jump in here?
I'm also proud of the Ottawa General for suggesting that instead of going ahead and buying all 74 of the buses, that after we've purchased 4, that maybe we hold on and sort of see how they manage through the winters and all the seasons here in Ottawa. So I think that's also very fiscally responsible. So I'm happy that that came to fruition.
Okay, so I'll just close the debate there. Go back to you, Granda. You have 30 seconds to wrap up on this topic.
Sure. So I talked about it, started at the individual level, and now I just like to say at the higher level that climate change is a system problem, not an individual problem. We have small actions we can do, but it's also going to require things like LEEDs buildings. We're going to need to build more responsibly to make it more climate efficient. And to finish by saying that I'm to me, protecting green space is important because I have a master's of agriculture and I grew up on a farm. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you to all our candidates. We're going to change the format just a little bit now. I'm just going to throw out one question there, and each of you will have 60 seconds to answer that question, okay? Let's talk about another real crisis here in the city of Ottawa, and that is the fact that City Council declared a homelessness emergency back in January of 2020. We've seen that situation only worsen since then. What are some of the solutions to tackling homelessness here in our city? Laine, I'll start with you.
Thank you. So yes, as I mentioned before, I grew up in non-market housing, and I now work in affordable housing as an executive there. And although the city did declare a housing and homelessness crisis and emergency, I will assure you that we have not been using all the levers at our disposal to correct for this crisis. There's an enormous gap in funding supportive housing. So these are individuals who chronically use healthcare services and are some of the least resourced individuals, but those support services are costly. We need to do better that way. We also need to imagine inclusionary zoning. We have an inclusionary zoning policy that allows for private developers to create affordable units, but it is not enough, and we need to supplement that with nonprofit housing supports who understand the administrative burden for that. We also need to include cooling shelters and safety stations in College Ward.
Thank you very much, Laine. Wendy, over to you, 60 seconds.
Thank you. I believe that everybody, as I had already stated, should have the right to self-sustainability. I don't think that Ottawa can do it alone. I think we need to work with all levels of government. We have spent some monies in our ward towards this. We spent $200,000 in pre-development funding for a plan for the Julian Norwich for affordable housing development along Withrow and Rossland. We spent $4.7 million for the Christchurch Bells Corner housing development on Old Richmond Road, which would include 35 affordable housing units with wraparound services. These things are happening in the city and they are good, but they are not enough. We need to continue to look hard and wide, look to other municipalities, look to other governments within the province and see what we can do that makes sense for the citizens of Ottawa.
All right, thank you, Wendy. Pat, same topic for you. You have 60 seconds.
Thank you. It comes down to very basic Everybody deserves a roof over their head and to be treated with dignity. This issue of homelessness affects every other service that the city provides, whether it be the police, whether it be health services. We need to find better solutions than what we've been able to do so far. You need to get the right people at the table and the experts to ask questions, and you need the representations from those that are homeless, in fact, so that you can find out and all collaboratively come up with a solution. That's what I like to do. My goal is to move people from insecurity to community. There's a pathway to affordable housing. I'm concerned when I hear that the city is perhaps paying up to $3,000 a month for a hotel room. That's a Band-Aid solution, and it's not a good use of our funding. And so when there's such a wait list already for people on emergency shelters, we have to do better, and I'm committed to working towards that.
Thank you, Pat. Vilteau, you have 60 seconds, same topic.
Yeah, tout ce que je peux dire, c'est que on sait que il y a beaucoup de people, de sans-abri dans la rue. We have a lot of homeless on the street for sure, but we need to target the situation and call it what it is. I have a story that I studied from university. When there's a man who was married and having kids, and because he went through a breaking up with his wife, and he ended up being on the street because he couldn't afford, and he's drinking and lost his job and he's on the street. So I think mental issue is something that the government needs to take into consideration, because this is very important for people to get the service that they deserve. Also, and we need to have new built just to tackle this situation, because the gentleman said here, everybody deserves to live with dignity, with the feeling that they are human, because we all deserve a second chance. Give a second chance to the people who need it the most. Thank you.
Thank you, Vilteau. And lastly, Granda, you have 60 seconds on the same topic.
Well, it's $3,000 a month to house a family in a hotel, but it's $700 a month to put them, if they have rent supplements, to keep them in a home. So that's something to start by considering. But homelessness, it's a system. It's not one solution. So it's not enough to offer them someplace to live. Some people, you give them a place to live, they can't live in it because they need other kinds of help. And if that help is not present, it's just a situation that makes them feel more terrible and sets them up for disaster. For example, my friend actually manages one of the buildings downtown that's being used as a homeless shelter since COVID began. And he's had so much in their hotel damage done to this. And these are people, they want to live there. They want to be protected. And I think it's not their fault that this damage is occurring. They need other supports. But what they have is a bed and walls. And that's much better than what they had before, which was out on the streets. But it is not enough to simply give them a bed and walls, because you need to give them hope and support. Thank you.
All right, thanks to all of our candidates. Now we go into the closing statement portion. We'll do this in reverse order. So, Granda, you start off with our closing statement. You have 60 seconds for your statement.
Sure. In conclusion, I think that College Ward is a very important part of Ottawa. We have wonderful walking trails and places to eat in Bell's Corners. We have a great place to skate in the winter at Centre Point. However, because of our LRT stations, we are an area that is about to undergo great changes. Now is the time for us to respectfully come together and to decide what do we value and how do we want to change. It is time to start building partnerships with other councillors and other government levels. As a National Executive Director with the Canadian Association of Professional Employees, I have had ample experience working together to find common solutions. My vision for College Ward is to protect its green spaces because they are needed for better physical and mental health, to ensure transportation is both effective and efficient, to maintain basic core services, to prevent speeding and to fix potholes, to ensure there's adequate snow clearing so that people can move safely, and to properly resource our police, to promote thoughtful development.
Granda, I'm sorry, but that's time. Thank you very much. Vilteau, you have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
My name is Vilteau Delvas. I am your candidate. I am the voice of your choice. I'm going to be there to fight for you and bring the transparency that we need into the government, because you are the one who vote me. You are the one who's you're going to be my boss, and I'm going to be working for you. So, and also the police force, as a former police officer, we need to stop gun violence on the street. We need to protect our youth. and I'm going to be the one with experience who's going to be there, work with the police, making sure that we live in a secure environment. I am also a PSW. I work for the seniors. I work with the seniors, so I know what you're dealing. I know how you've been taken advantage of. I'm going to fight for you to still live with dignity and to get the service that you need. And you know what? Every 6 months, I'm going to make a pledge. My salary, I'll cut it in half to invest it into the community. I would be doing that. My name is Vilteau Delvas. I'm waiting for you.
Thank you. Pat, over to you. 60 seconds for your closing statement.
This is an important election, and I am respectfully asking for your vote. I am focused on listening to and understanding residents' concerns and being a positive force in creating a shared vision for the future of both the ward and the City of Ottawa. I will bring decades of successful business and community building expertise, a sincere desire to help, and a strong work ethic. I am not associated with any political party or activist organization. I will provide College Ward residents with transparent leadership that is fully independent and fully committed to you alone. The issues facing the city are complicated. It is critical you vote for the candidate you believe is best equipped to help lead the city through the next 4 years, and who will best represent your issues. I respectfully ask for your vote. I will work hard for you every day I am in office. I'm Pat McGarry. I'm here to help.
All right. Thank you very much, Pat. Wendy, you have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
Thank you, Rogers, for hosting this debate. College Ward needs somebody that walks the walk, and I am that person. I am raising my family here, and I will continue to do so. We also deserve somebody that has professional experience, confidence, and has a propensity for challenging the status quo. We live in one of the best wards in the city, in my opinion. And I am running because I am ready to step up and to fight for things that are important, things that I hear when I am knocking on the doors each and every day. Safety in our communities, safety on our streets, and safety in our homes. Responsible development, and unifying the ward. We need to work together. We will be stronger if we are together. We have an opportunity to grow together, and on October the 24th, I hope that you see me as your best viable option to help be your voice at this city.
All right. Thank you very much, Wendy. And Laine, you have 60 seconds.
College Ward deserves to look forward. Different times call for different leadership. With me as your counselor, you can count on open, honest communication. Transparency and accountability are hallmarks of our democracy, and I do not take this lightly. I will be an independent voice who will always listen with an open mind and will always make decisions that are in College Wards and the public's best interest. I am not only professionally, but I am personally invested in the future of College Ward. The decisions we make will affect my own backyard. We have a laundry list of to-dos, and with so many new councillors around the table this year, College Ward is best placed to elect someone who knows the system, understands the complexity of the decisions in front of us, and has the energy to keep up. As a nonprofit professional, I understand accountability that public institutions should show their communities. Visit lainejohnson.ca to learn more.
All right. Thank you all. Really appreciate your time today. Wish you the best of luck. Thanks so much for joining us. And thanks to you at home for watching. Really appreciate you joining us as well. If you want to find out more and tune into more debates, you can head over to our website, rogerstv.com. And don't forget, Election Day is October 24th. Thank you so much for watching this rendition of the local campaign.